Hello! Today we're reviewing Galatune by Galatune. Galatune is a 2 to 5 player free-for-all competitive card game where the first player to a certain number of knockouts wins the game. That number of knockouts is determined by you and your friends. It feels very much like a anime Super Smash Bros. In card game form. Let's get started. Imagine a game where you take the insanity from a swath of anime and pile it into a fast-paced competitive card game. That's Galatune, and the equivalent exchange is the sweet tears of your gaming group. Galatune is deceptively simple, but beneath the surface is a friendship-destroying game of take that, backstabbing, and table politics. It's as if Smash Bros. And Mario Party had a board game baby. That baby emerged from the womb holding an oversized sword in one hand and flipped off the doctor with the other. Each player in Galatune controls one of 14 characters to battle it out in a free-for-all. Players that are defeated jump right back into the game with the same or different character, but anyone who inflicted damage on the killing blow wins a victory point. Victory points are very much like Smash Bros., where the first player to reach a set number of knockouts wins, and that number can be as high or low as you want it to be. Galatune doesn't feature a ton of different components, but everything that's there is pretty nice to look at. The compact rulebook has a nice flowchart on the back for how elements and alignments interact, and since Galatune is pretty easy to learn, the rulebook is small. But I would have liked to have seen some rulings for some of the edge cases that can come up. The 14 characters all look fantastic, as if they were pulled right out of popular anime. They're double-sided, one with a full portrait and the other for all the characters' gameplay statistics. The portrait side is holographic, which I actually find a little bit irritating. It serves no gameplay purpose and is somewhat distracting. It's not like Galatune is a trading card game where the cards have individual value. If it were, I wouldn't be playing or reviewing it. The other 88 cards make up most of what you'll be playing with, and the artwork is equally great. Each card has its own distinct personality that makes them readily identifiable, and that's important due to how Galatune plays. You also get a set of health and victory point markers, which are nifty little plastic gems that feel nice to mess with. Galatune does feel a little bit empty for $30, but only just. The cards are unusually sized. They're closer to that of tarot cards than standard game cards. I would have traded that and the holographics for a few more cards and possibly a paper version of their print and play mat. The playmat is by no means required, but has a great table presence and helps you sort out your HP markers. I do recommend the print and play mat if you don't opt for the gorgeous inversion or pride mats. Galatune is not a balanced game, but it doesn't try to be. Every player gets stuck with hands of wimpy and overpowered cards, and that's the point. Every round is like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. The people fighting continually pull new absurd powers out of thin air in attempts to one-up each other.
I'm gonna slap some sense into you!
Some cards like the Grand Reaper instantly knock out another player. It's a card coveted by every player in my group. However, if another player were to drop Peace at the same time, that player's dreams of being a one-punch man becomes a fairy tale. The trick is, there are no turns. Each round, everyone secretly picks a card to play, and on the count of 3, they throw the card down on the character they're playing it on. Cards range from attacks, defensive shields, curative healing, and a wide variety of other effects. There's nothing stopping you from shielding or healing another player. The player with the most victory points wins, so it can be in your best interest to do so. Informal alliances pop up all game.
You son of a bitch.
But only one can win, so you never truly know who is going to backstab who and when. It certainly makes sense to go attack on Titan against a winning player, but only to a certain point. Every turn is filled with laughs, groans, and friendly jabs as the cards interact and subvert the table's expectations about what was going to happen. If you've ever played Yu-Gi-Oh!, you will understand the satisfaction of those precious moments where an opponent stumbles right into your trap card.
Sorry to disappoint you! You triggered my trap card!
That is what Galatune feels like every turn. In fact, trap cards are also a thing in Galatune, and can be played after everyone else has already thrown down their card choices. If someone plays Ultimate Darkness, well, you can say goodbye Mr. Despair by trapping it with Purify, but surprise, they play Disarm in response to trap your trap. If a character is defeated, every player that dealt damage to the character earns a victory point. Some players will get pretty clever by poking a character while another player lands the killing blow. You can crush their fighting spirit simply by dropping jealousy and taking all the victory points for yourself. Then have fun watching them go berserk. Galatune is an incredibly bonkers mess, but in a hilariously fun way. It manages to capture the general feel of a party game while giving people a bit more to chew on than a party game would. You may be at the whims of chaos, but there's still plenty of strategy between both the cards in your hand and the mind games you play at the table. When the cards are dealt, they're actually dealt face up, so everyone is aware of the tools that the other players have. If you have a good memory, you can use that to your advantage. More importantly, you don't actually get new cards once your hand is dealt, not unless you get knocked out or you defeat someone else. In the latter case, you get to poach 5 cards from their hand, even if the cards in question had already been used and discarded. If someone played Lucky Day, netting them a free victory point, everyone at the table knows they can claim that card by defeating that player. However, if more than one player lands the killing blow, the one who dealt the most damage gets the first pick of the loot. The whole system really should fall apart, but it comes together as a spectacularly fun game that certainly rewards strategy and tactics, but should never be taken seriously. Every player's hand is drawn from the same deck called the Source, but every player also has a unique character that dictates their health and starting hand size. Each one also has powers that can be equally as powerful as cards. Some are passive, while others can be activated in place of playing a card. For example, my favorite is Lux. His starting hand is a measly 6, but Lux has the power to use cards in his discard, and there's nothing like playing the Grand Reaper twice. And the ability has the added benefit of destroying the card so no one else can steal it. Abilities are only one piece of the puzzle that adds additional strategy and chaos to the mix. Most cards and characters have elements and alignments. Characters are immune to damage from their own alignment and elements, but take double from one they're weak to. The back of the rulebook features a nice digestible flowchart for elements and alignments. It's simple to understand, but has a large effect on the game and your strategy. The real kicker is, when you're defeated, you may keep your character and the remaining cards that weren't stolen, draw a new hand, or swap characters altogether. Victory points are linked to the player, not the character, so that leaves you a lot of room to adapt to bad situations. Since you're aware of what cards the other players have, you could switch to a type that is immune to most of their attack cards. If someone has a bunch of pesky traps, you could swap to Viz, who is immune to them. Merendi Sailbloom directly counters my boy Lux with her dual aspect attack Nocturne. Since he's weak to both Dark and War, if I choose Lux, I can expect to see her after I knock someone out. Galatune manages to do a whole lot with very little in the way of rules. The game can be understood in under a minute, but there's honestly a lot beneath the surface to dig into. Every game is full of laughter, alliances, betrayals, and epic counterplays. Many times it will appear as if there is clearly a golden boy winner, only for the underdog to come out of nowhere and bleach those preconceived notions. It's not a game you can win reliably, thanks to the unpredictable pure chaos of it all, but it's not all luck either, and it's the only thing about Galatune that strikes a careful balance. Galatune doesn't want to be balanced. It wants to counter spirit bombs with erupting burning fingers.
This hand of mine is burning red!
Its loud roar tells me to grasp victory!
Erupting, burning finger!
It relishes in pitting Sailor Moons against Full Metal Alchemists in a way that's easy to understand and fun, and this is true whether you're a fan of anime or not. It's not without a few hiccups of its own, however. Poaching cards from other players is undeniably core to the game and is a lot of fun, but it can also cause the game to grind to a halt if the looting player has any kind of analysis paralysis. The nature of the game also grants a massive advantage to those familiar with the cards against those who don't. Care must be taken when teaching the game to new players. I appreciate the random and broken nature of the cards, but the lack of consistency can be weird at times. There isn't an equal number of attack cards spread throughout the elements. That's kind of awkward and can deeply affect the viability of some characters. Dark cards seem to be the most potent, but also have the most counters, so most of my games have leaned dark to some degree. The light arrow card is strange, as it can't be played during a full moon. It was hilarious to watch my friend jump up from the table and run outside to see if I was allowed to hit him with it, but it's the only card with that kind of meta effect. The balance of its imbalance kind of falls apart at lower player counts as well. It works great at 4, and I can imagine a 5th player only adds to the chaotic joy. At 3 players, the balance really begins to tilt the scales from hilariously broken to frustratingly busted. I got hamstrung in 2 different 3-player games with fate bound linking me to another player so that we couldn't harm each other unless he died. In both cases, he had such an upper hand on the 3rd player that my support only delayed the inevitable. There was nothing I could do because the 3rd player couldn't take him down and break the bond. At 2 players, Galatune trades all the joy from the unpredictable negotiations and mind games for a poor dueling game. Some cards are nearly unusable in a 2-player game, while others are extremely dominant.
My grandpa put all his gaming knowledge, his whole heart, into assembling this deck. I have to believe that it holds some secret strategy. This card is useless.
It's also possible to stall out where you and your single foe are left with nothing to do but throw your character's special attack at each other until one of them falls. 2-player games can also devolve into chasing each other's tails as each player swaps to the opposing player's counter after every death. It's pretty much an automatic choice since there's no other player on the field that can exploit your weakness if you focus on that person. Lower player counts just sour the heart of the cards, and everything that Galatune is going for. There can be fun back and forth moments, but frustration is just as common and reminds you that you're playing a ghost in the shell. I do wish that some aspects were more consistent, and the game does flop at lower player counts. Yet Galatune remains incredibly fun despite a few design hiccups. Galatune manages to cage the feel of a video game like Super Smash Bros. And meld it into a party game for people that don't play party games. It has all the strengths of a party game without any of the weaknesses, and that's honestly kind of brilliant. I would heavily criticize the overpowered cards in any other game, but Galatune plays by saying that if everything is overpowered, nothing is, and it really works. The back and forth nature of the cards countering each other, elemental weaknesses, and traps feel awesome, and add a real weight to the player negotiations and informal alliances. Galatune is a fascinating meld of ideas that shouldn't work at all but somehow do. Now and then, here and there, its strings may pluck a sour tune, but it's still going to be a Kaleido star at the right table. The thing is, I don't really play party games, and if I'd thought Galatune was one for 1 second, I actually would have denied the review copy. I tend to feel that party games rely on invoking the crowd around the table and to having a good time using each other, rather than the game itself. And the thing is, a group of friends can kind of do that anyway. Galatune manages to do both, and that makes it particularly unique, and I really had a good time with it for that reason. My friends and I loved poking and stabbing each other, countering each other's plays, teaming up on each other, and otherwise using the cards in ways to completely screw each other over. There was times that we would team up on one person just because of what happened in the last game, which would normally be terrible and frustrating, but Galatune isn't a serious game, so it was just good fun and hilarious. It's not a serious game, but it has mechanics of one, and that's what makes it unique. However, since Galatune plays poorly at low player counts, its value to me is somewhat limited. My group gets together once a week, and it'll have to compete with every other game on my shelf for the table. That's why I usually prefer games that can play well at 1 and 2, so that I can get them to the table more consistently. But it has far more value if you do play regularly with a group of 4 to 5, and I'd highly recommend it to you if you do. To recap the pros, Galatune has great artwork. The game is fast to learn with deceptive depth. Every card and character is unique. The fast-paced nature focused on simultaneous card interaction is incredibly fun. If Super Smash Bros. Was a card game, it would feel like Galatune, and that's awesome. The cons. Winning reliably is nearly impossible with Galatune's degree of randomness. It plays poorly at 2 and 3 players. The holographic side of the card feels distracting and unnecessary. The cards lack any kind of consistency, their inclusion feels random. Who would like this game? If anime themes appeal to you, if you're looking for a party game with more oomph, you enjoy games where the players' actions are aggressive toward each other, you like the idea of informal alliances and negotiations, you enjoy games such as Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Digimon. Who wouldn't like this game? If you find sexualized characters distasteful, you want a game that plays well at low player counts. You don't like being unable to win even if you do everything right. You dislike player negotiating, lying, and other aspects of open-ended diplomacy, or if you're looking for a balanced game experience. All of that is Galatune. Thanks for watching my review. If you enjoyed this video or found it informative, liking and subscribing really helps my visibility on YouTube, but I've also left a few links down in the description below. One to my website where you can find the bulk of my written content, and a link to my Ko-fi page if you feel like tossing in a donation. But in any case, thanks for watching, and until next time.